Christmas Eve to you all. So, welcome into this small little stream. And as you see in the title, this is part of my career mode. And this is how I'm going to explain this to everybody. So, we're going to go schedule talks first, and then we're going to go to the last part, which is the contract talks. So, scheduling for this year, it is going to remain 24 races. However, ladies and gentlemen, Lunzel will no longer be on the schedule the remainder of my career mode. I will get to that here in a minute. Portugal will officially now replace Lunzel the rest of the way through and go from there. So now I left Imola on the schedule for one main reason. Yes, it's not going to be on the F1 calendar next year, this coming up season, but I'm going to continue keeping Imola on the schedule, especially when me being with Ferrari. Definitely want to run both of those Italy races and make the Team Red fan base happy that we're keeping it on the schedule. Now, going into the Lunzel deal, I'm not a fan of that track. Never really have been a fan of that track since they went there in real life in 2021 with the schedule changes due to COVID and the numbers being on the rise back in those days, and they had to break it out where they had to space it. Lunzel was one of the tracks, so they went to Lunzel in 2021, and then they have been going there since. So this is where I'm going to put this into perspectives, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a fan of that track. I do not like the layout. And I'm just going to go on a limb here and also say this. Lunzel is more or less a motorcycle track. If you ever played MotoGP, that's basically what that track is for. It's not made for F1 cars to be on that track. So that's where Portugal is not replacing Lunzel the rest of the way through on career mode. To finish this out, ladies and gentlemen, we are on Season 3 of my career mode, going into Season 2 with Ferrari. At the end of the year last year, I signed another contract that doesn't extend with Ferrari. Now, what that means is going into this season, another team could talk to me about moving away from Ferrari and going to their team. And that could be a good possibility. And here's a couple of teams I'm thinking that could be. There's probably about 3, maybe 4. I'm going to start with Williams first. I think eventually Williams is going to want to find a replacement for Logan Sargent. He really has not benefited anything in the first 2 seasons. I don't think he's going to bet anything any further than where he's sitting. So that could be a good possibility where I could go to Williams, and it could be me and Alex Albon at Williams. That could be the first team that could be possibly looking at a good choice. Another team could be McLaren. And could be possibly replacing Oscar. Oscar's kind of here and there towards the end of the season. And then we're looking at the next 2 teams that are really the fastest teams on the grid right now, which is Red Bull. And if we're looking at Red Bull, Checo hasn't really done anything. Past few seasons, he's been consistent. But first race of the year, it was the first opening race of my 3rd season. He finished outside of the points, and y'all know how Red Bull is. They need another driver that's going to kind of stay competitive with Max. I can see Red Bull kind of looking at the facts and being like, okay, this kid has been on a roll. He's won 2 championships. He's won a constructors for Ferrari, maybe it's time to bring him in and race along with Max. The last team is Aston Martin. Now, the reason why I'm saying Aston Martin is Fernando Alonso might not race much longer on my career mode. I think assuming Fernando Alonso might call it a career, and they're going to need a replacement to fill his shoes, since Lance Stroll is a shitty driver in IRL. He is a shitty driver on F1, and in my opinion, I don't know why they don't terminate his contract in real life, but that's, hearsay. But those are the 4 teams I can see possibly having a secret meeting with me this season. Now, I don't think I can sign with any of those teams, ladies and gentlemen, until after my 3rd season with Ferrari. Now, we'll see how this season goes with Ferrari. We're midfield, and I'm going to kind of admit it, I had to lower the AI level down a little bit, just for me and Charles can stay competitive with McLaren, with Red Bull, with Aston Martin. So that's where it stands with that. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I will let you know who the team will be that will be in contact with me when we get to that point. Like I said, it could be one of those 4 teams. I'm not really quite sure. It could be Ferrari. That could be the team that could be like, okay, we're going to just try to keep him. I would love to stay with Ferrari, but with them being a midfield team, I really don't want to keep on balancing being a midfield team and then kind of being in a front runners. So it's kind of to the point where I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. I will let you know when that time comes, but from here on in, ladies and gentlemen, Portugal will now be replacing Lonzo the rest of the way through on career mode. There is no debate about that. That's going to be how I feel about it. That's how comfortable I am. And before any of my critics that come over from my Snapchat or freaking any other place, just to let you know, no, it's not a skill issue because I've won there back-to-back years. I just don't like Lonzo. I'm not a fan of it, never been a fit for it. I think it's a terrible track for F1 to be at, and in my opinion, I think that Portugal coming back in another year, I think that Portugal in real life should replace Lonzo on the F1 calendar in 2027. That's my opinion and my take on that. So, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I will keep you updated with the topic of contract talks. Just remind you, another team can be in talks with me this season, but I don't believe I can sign until after my Ferrari stint is over with. And reminder, I signed a 3-year deal with Ferrari, so it will not end until the following season. So, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all enjoy your Christmas, and I hope you all have a brand new Happy New Year, and I will catch you all in the next video. I don't know if I will be streaming racing tomorrow. It might be maybe a sports stream. I'm not really quite sure. Another thing I want to update you about, guys, is the F120 thing is unfortunately going to have to come to an end. It just stays on the loading screen, so I can't really do much with that game anymore. It gives me kind of time to focus on career mode. It also gives me time to focus on the driver series on this game. Also, I'm also thinking about doing an Art and Senna F1 career, so keep an eye on that. That's one of my idols. Like I said, unfortunately, I never got the chance to watch Ayrton Senna, but watching his highlights, listening to him, he kind of reminds me a little bit of a Dale Earnhardt of F1. Says it like it is, not afraid to speak his mind. So you might see a career mode of Ayrton Senna very, very soon. We'll see after I sort of get caught up on this. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye out for the contract situations. I will update you on what team it will be, and we'll go from there. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great happy holidays, and Merry Christmas to everybody, and Happy New Year to all of my subscribers. Connect if you're new, connect if you haven't. Subscribe, make sure you hit that noti bell, and that will tell you when I'm going live. And make sure to like, share, and I will catch you all on the next video. Peace!